Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Now, today I want to talk to you a little bit about furniture design and the design process. Now, this is one of those things that a lot of beginners get really intimidated about because there are so many options and choices and they have a hard time knowing where to begin and how to narrow down their choices for their design. Now, I'm not a professional furniture designer, but as an engineer, I have a lot of background in design and how to go through the design process and going through various iterations to improve upon a design. So I'm going to take you through the process that I use from just having an idea of what I want to build all the way up through finalizing my design and having something that I can go out to the shop and build. Now, the first step in a good design is thoroughly understanding what problem you're trying to solve with your design, as well as what limitations you have. This goes beyond just understanding that you want to build, for example, a dresser. Okay, what specifics are you looking for in this dresser design? How many drawers does it need? How big does it need to be? Are you planning on using any special hardware in the design? Does the piece you're designing need to match your existing furniture in the room, or is it something completely new? Is there a timeline that you're bound to? Hi, yes ma'am. I'm just calling to let you know that crib you ordered is ready for pickup. Yes, it took a little bit longer than I expected to. Sorry about that. Oh, he doesn't need it anymore? He just left for college. Oh, I see. Make a list of all the requirements that you have for the design as well as all the limitations that you have to work within. You'll want to constantly refer back to this list as you're going through your design to make sure that your design meets all of your requirements and your limitations. Because after all, there's nothing worse than finishing a piece of furniture and moving it to the location it's going to and realizing that it won't fit through the doorway. So the next step in design is understanding what style we're going to build our furniture in. And this is going to greatly affect our build plan going forward. For example, mid-century modern and farmhouse furniture are not going to be built the same and they're not going to use the same materials. So we need to start narrowing these things down now so we understand what look we're going for and we can start planning around that. So this is the point where I start doing a lot of research. I'll go online and start looking at different furniture styles to try to narrow down what exactly I want this piece to look like. Now, one of my favorite places to do this is on Pinterest. You can go on Pinterest and start a board for your project and start saving different pieces of furniture in that board that are in the style that you like. Once you've saved a couple of pieces that you like, Pinterest is going to start recommending more designs that are very similar but slightly different. Now, you don't have to like the entire piece to save it onto your board. You might like just certain aspects of it. So you like the wood that was used on one piece and you like the legs on a different one. You like the trim on this one over here, but you like the drawer shape on this one. Save all of those together on the same board and just make notes on which components you like. Then you can start incorporating those together into one piece to get your own unique design. You know, back in the old days, before the internets and the Googles, we had these ancient tomes called books that we would use when we needed to do research and look things up. Yeah, I know in this modern era of technology and artificial intelligence, things like books and magazines to some people seem a bit antiquated. But honestly, there's a ton of information that you can get that has been printed over the hundreds of years that print has been around. It's just not been converted over to the digital realm. So it's a good idea to keep some good books around to go back and refer to and get some good inspiration from. So another thing that I like to do whenever I'm trying to design a piece of furniture is go to an actual furniture store and look at real furniture. Sometimes it's just hard to get a sense of scale and detail from a photo, so seeing it in real life, face to face, can really help with that. It's a good idea to get your hands on a few pieces that are in the style that you like so that you can see it in person and really get a sense for how it looks and feels and make sure it's exactly what you want. Another benefit to visiting furniture stores is they often have large teams that do market research to try to understand what is popular right now with the public. They're going to be up on what's the newest style and the hottest selling thing at the time. So if you want to know what's really selling in your local market, go visit a furniture store and see what they have on the showroom floor. Now that I have my list of requirements, my limitations, I know what style I'm going for, I have a list of design aspects and features that I want to include, it's time to put all of those things together into a rough sketch to start seeing what this piece of furniture is really going to look like. Now, I'm still kind of old school, so I like to use actual pencil and paper and just do a quick rough sketch of my projects. This is usually pretty rough, but I might use a ruler just to get some straight lines so I get a good idea of what everything is going to look like in the final piece. So once I like how everything is looking on my rough sketch, it's time to move on to the next step, which is a detailed plan. Now at this point, you can continue with your pencil and paper, but I like to move over to the computer and use a drafting program. Now at this point, we want to make sure that we're drawing out every individual component of the project. Using a drafting program, you can get everything down to the exact dimensions that it's going to be when you actually build the project. You can even draw in the joinery that you're going to use so that you can make sure that everything's going to work correctly and you're not going to have any joinery interfering with any other components. Doing this in a drafting program can save you a lot of time when you're actually building the project. It can also prevent you from wasting any materials because you can easily see if something's not working right and you can correct your design now instead of when you're in the middle of the project and you've already cut material. Another great thing about using a computer drafting program is you can lay out the components so that you can see exactly how much lumber that you need to buy when you go to the lumber mill. So once we've got the design exactly the way we want it in the computer program, we know all of the components that we need to cut and everything is the proper size dimensions, we know what joinery we need to use, it's time to actually go build the project. Now at this point, we're actually building the real project. Now if it's something that you've never built before and it's completely new, you're not sure if the design is going to work, you can always do some type of mock-up or prototype to test it out. You can do this with cheaper lumber or plywood or even just cardboard boxes. This way you can test out the design and see it in a 3D space before you commit your good materials. Just don't forget, when you're using these cheaper materials, they may not be quite as structurally sound as using the real thing. So once you've built your project, the design phase hasn't really ended yet. It's really just beginning. You see, no one gets everything right the first time through. Thomas Edison, for example, made over 2,000 versions of the light bulb before he got one that actually worked. Even after he had the patents and a factory setup that was producing light bulbs, he continued to test new variations of the light bulb to try to make improvements on his design. So look at your design and your build process, look for ways that you can reduce the amount of materials that it takes or be able to put things together faster. Was there a point in the build where you had a really difficult glue up or a tricky cut that you had to make? What ways can you change things around to make that easier next time? You see, there's always improvements that we can make on our design to make things better, more efficient, faster. And improvements on a design doesn't necessarily mean we're adding features or new design elements. You see, something we say a lot in engineering is a design is perfected, not when there's nothing else you can add, but when there's nothing left to take away. So continue to innovate and streamline your design, and you'll get better and better every time. So if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you subscribe and go check out some of my other videos. Thanks for watching.